Hey guys, the Comics Kid 2099 here, and just like every Saturday, I'm here to talk to you about an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I'm going to talk about the Batman the Animated Series episode Tyger. I will be spoiling this episode, so if you don't like spoilers, then go watch the episode now, and then you can come back and hear what I have to say about it. Or if you have seen the episode, but it's been a long time, then maybe this review will refresh your memory a little bit. We begin with Selina Kyle visiting the zoo when she is kidnapped by a gorilla man. The gorilla man works for a scientist named Dorian. He experiments in animal-human hybrids, and he wants to turn Selina Kyle into a literal Catwoman. Batman finds Dorian's island, and Dorian thinks that Catwoman is completely under the thrall of his formula, but she is not. Batman and Dorian's air-quote son, Tigress, a Catman, fight a little bit, and Dorian makes Batman a deal. If he can defeat Tigress, then he can have the antidote that will reverse the cat-person condition that Selina is currently in. Batman is able to convince Tigress that he is not an enemy, and Tigress rebels against his air-quotes father, even when he realizes that Catwoman will not be his mate when he had defeated Batman. The episode ends with Batman taking Selina and the unconscious Dorian back to civilization, while Tigress stays behind on the island, saying that there is nothing for him in civilization. I guess we're meant to just assume that Selina is eventually cured, even though we never see it happen, even after she panics that they don't have the antidote. Cue credits. We haven't had very many episodes in this series that completely create brand new villains from whole cloth, and the ones that do, such as the Cat in the Claw or the Underdwellers, the villains usually are painfully bland or just outright bad. But this is the first time that I can think of where the bad guy that did not originate in the comics is not outright horrible. I mean, he's not fantastic or anything. It's not surprising that he did not make the jump to the comics like Harley Quinn did, but he's not as bad as Red Claw or the Sewer King. Really, the worst thing about Dorian is his motivation. I don't really need an explanation for why he is doing mad sciencey things. I mean, every mad scientist does mad sciencey things. That's common knowledge. So if this guy is just creating cat people from scratch or what have you, I'm fine with that. What does not make any sense at all is why Dorian went to all the trouble to kidnap Selina Kyle. I get that it's so that Batman can get pulled into this story. If this guy kidnapped Jane Doe off the street, it would be much harder to get Batman involved in the episode since Bruce Wayne is not actively trying to date Jane Doe off the street. But from a character point of view, it makes negative amounts of sense. Is it just because Selina once called herself Catwoman that he is specifically seeking her out? If so, that is maybe one of the flimsiest excuses I've ever seen in all of fiction. Ordinarily, in an episode like this, I would complain about the really forced love story. Oh, this character literally just met that character, and already he's in love. But I think I can pretty easily let it slide this time, because Tigress is an animal, literally. So my usual complaints of, seriously dude, you don't even know her name, and already you're in love with her, they don't fly this time, because that's not how Tigress's brain works. Animals don't court other animals and get to know them over the course of several dates before deciding that, yep, they're in love. It's a nice way that this episode is able to sidestep what is usually a really dumb subplot for most superhero movies, and in some superhero TV shows. Having said that, Tigress's animal nature does not prevent this episode from falling into another trap that superhero love story subplots often do. Specifically, in such a short amount of time, I guess we're meant to feel sorry for Tigress because Selina doesn't love him. And I'm sorry, but I do not. Now, Tigress is a sympathetic character, but not because Selina doesn't want to get into his pants. He's sympathetic because his father is a psychopath and he's an outcast. Too much of a man to hang out with the animals, too much of an animal to hang out with the humans. That is some really tragic stuff right there. And it's hard not to feel sad for him when the episode ends. But I just don't feel any pangs of sympathy when he talks about wanting to make Selina his mate. I've talked before about different kinds of episodes that Batman the Animated Series has done. There's the episodes where Batman is the central protagonist and he learns some kind of lesson by the end, and those episodes are usually few and far between. And then there's the episodes like Be a Clown or Joker's Favor, where some other schmo is the central character and goes through some kind of character arc by episode's end. And that's more what this episode is. I've already talked about this a little bit in this video, but our character who does go through an arc here is Tigress. He learns pretty convincingly, I thought, that he doesn't have to listen to everything his father says. Really, the more broad arc that he goes through is that he needs to be his own man. Not only is he through listening to his father, but when Selina tries to convince him to come to civilization with her and Batman, he isn't going to have any of that either. And I say that this is a pretty convincing arc, but others might not like it as much. because it is pretty fast and kind of happens out of nowhere. There's no setup for it at all earlier in the episode. When Dorian sends Tigress to kill Batman, Batman says, "Hey, you don't have to listen to him," and Tigress basically says, "Oh, okay," and that's that. It would have been nice if we had seen some kind of evidence of Tyger being hesitant to follow an order earlier in the episode to set up this payoff a little bit better. But I think the reason I'm so okay with this is because I rather like Tyger in this episode, and so I feel like he pulls it off better than the script does. This is a minor point, but I really like that Batman went to visit Kirk Langstrom in this episode. This series hasn't been very serialized at this point, but when it does do callbacks to past episodes, it's a whole lot of fun, and it makes sense in the story. Of course Batman would visit the one other dude that he knows who has experience in turning humans into monstrous animals. And it even makes sense that Langstrom and Dorian worked together several years back. Some might say that this is super convenient for the plot, but I find it believable, so I didn't cry foul there. I don't really have much more to say about this episode. I liked it a great deal, but it isn't perfect. It's missing stuff like motivations for our bad guy or setup for our protagonist's character arc. Stuff like that could have used some fine tweaking, but it's still a very enjoyable episode. And so those are my thoughts on Tyger. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and my thoughts on the episode. If you did, come back next Saturday to hear me talk about an episode of Batman Beyond. And the Saturday after that, I'll be talking about another episode of Batman the Animated Series. And if you did like this video, then be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my videos that I do throughout the week. I'll see you later, and in the meantime, have a great day.